Hello everyone, welcome to Neosciencehub podcast. I have a very distinguished guest with me. I'm really immensely proud of that. Dr. Chaitanyamoy Ganguly has been a chairman of Nuclear Fuel Complex here in Hyderabad, and he's also headed a division in International Atomic Energy in Vienna. And apart from all this, he's got a very distinguished career. If you take a look at his wiki pages, you'll come to know. He's also being an awardee of a Padma Shri. So that makes it all the more special for nuclear, for our magazine to be associated with him. Welcome, Dr. Ganguly. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate your time for us, allotted for us. Let me cut back and because we have a young generation of viewers, I just want to know one simple thing. How did your family react when you said that you're going to work with plutonium, which is supposed to be such a dreaded element?
Okay, first of all, thank you for arranging this podcast. And plutonium is an exotic element. It does not occur in nature, as you know. It is artificially made in a nuclear reactor with uranium. Uranium occurs in nature. And the two isotopes of uranium are U-235 and U-238. 99.3% U-238 and 0.7% is U-235. So when you bombard U-238 with a neutron, then it captures the neutron, becomes U-239. It undergoes beta minus decay, becomes Neptunium-239. Again another beta minus decay and becomes Plutonium-239. Now the plutonium-239 half-life is nearly 24,000 years. So you can say that it is more or less, I would not call it stable, but metastable type of isotope, which is a long half-life. Now plutonium has got all the properties of U-235. That means it is a fissile material. That means if I bombard plutonium-239 with a neutron, then it will undergo fission, and it will generate enormous amount of energy. As you know, per fission you get about 200 million electron volts of energy. If you compare with the carbon, suppose when I burn a carbon atom, at the most I will get 4 electron volt. So 200 million electron volt for U-235 or plutonium-239 and only 4 eV for carbon. So this energy, high energy density, this has been exploited by human being to the maximum. The thing is, plutonium is also highly radioactive and radiotoxic.
Correct.
If you see, the maximum permissible body burden of plutonium is only 0.6 microgram.
Okay.
So plutonium cannot be handled in the open. It has to be handled inside leak-tight globe boxes or hot cells, which are often shielded with the beta, gamma and neutron, and inside that you will have to handle the material, and the globe boxes and all the hot cells, they are maintained under a negative pressure. So ventilation is equally important. So as I told you, this material is very exotic. In the earlier years, it was discovered in 1940 by Seaborg and his colleague in the University of California, Berkeley. Immediately after that, it was used for weapon program. And as you know, the first weapon was tested, the only weapon tested in New Mexico desert was plutonium-239 based. And then the next month in August, as you know, it was in Nagasaki that bomb was dropped. So that stigma is in the back of everyone's mind that plutonium means bomb.
Correct.
But the peaceful uses of plutonium are enormous. I mean, and this could be used as a very good fissile material, particularly for fast neutron reactors. In the fast neutron reactor, you use plutonium in combination with U-238. And in the process, you breed more plutonium than you consume. And with that, practically all the natural uranium resources can be fully utilized. And to share with you something very important, the total natural uranium identified in the world is about 8 million tons. At a price of less than 260 US dollar per kg. This identified uranium and also uranium in the rock phosphate and in the shale if they are effectively utilized in water-cooled reactors followed by fast breeder reactor and with multiple recycling of plutonium and uranium, then you can meet the entire energy requirement of the world for tens and thousands of years. You don't need any other form of energy. So plutonium is very, very essential for long-term sustainability of nuclear power, and particularly we have to use plutonium in a fast reactor in combination with U-238 and in closed fuel cycle. So this is when we hardly had any information on plutonium, because not only my family, I did not have, but I was very fortunate to join the best group in BARC, Radiometallurgy Division, under the leadership of Mr. P.R. Roy, who is no more, late P.R. Roy. And at that time the director was Dr. Raja Ramana, and the director of the materials group, nuclear goods, of P.K. Anger. We got lot of encouragement.
Yes.
They were great men. Encouragement from them. They gave us lot of free hand. They allowed us to make mistakes, learn from the mistakes. So this was very exotic for me, but my family had hardly any idea, and at that time I was not married, and my parents, they did not have any idea about plutonium. Forget about, even they did not know what is BARs.
Okay.
So it was really exotic.
Good. Sir, you have developed a plutonium-rich mixed carbide fuel that has never been tried before. How do you think this came about, and how was it then taken up further?
Yeah, this all happened in the I would say early 80s, and then in the mid 70s, I was deputed to the plutonium laboratory in Germany. It's called Kernforschungszentrum. That means Nuclear Research Center, KFK in short. Now it has been renamed as KIT. And then I had the unique opportunity to work with possibly one of the best fuel metallurgists, one Dr. Dieter Folleth. And in that lab, at that time, they were developing mixed uranium-plutonium oxide and mixed carbide fuel for irradiation testing in the German KNK2 fast reactors. So my work was mainly on X-ray diffraction for quantitative phase analysis in the uranium-plutonium carbide system. And then when I returned home, I told my boss that I would like to start a PhD and I would choose this mixed carbide. Now, a lot of work has been done on the uranium-rich mixed carbide, but there is no information on the plutonium-rich mixed carbide, right? India, we do not have U-235, we have only plutonium. And in the fast reactor, plutonium is the best fuel. So I told them, why not I explore the possibility of plutonium-rich carbide, because that could be a good fuel for the Fast Breeder Test Reactor, which was under construction at that time. Fast Breeder Test Reactor is a small reactor with a small core. If the reactor is small, then you need very high enrichment. Normally, in a typical commercial fast reactor, the plutonium enrichment is in the range of 20 to 30%. But since the fast reactor core is small, you needed an enrichment about 70%. This gap in the enrichment overseas, this was done by U-235. But since we do not have U-235, we had to go for the plutonium-rich mixed carbide, which has not been tried anywhere in the world. And that was, I would say, the golden years of my research career, and it was more or less single-handed. First developing the process flow sheet, then developing the thermophysical properties like thermal conductivity, coefficient of thermal expansion, and all the properties, thermal diffusivity, and then establishing that it is compatible, chemically compatible with the stainless steel cladding and sodium coolant. So once we did this, then the whole presentation I made in Kalpakkam, I remember that was in 1979. And then, because they had two options, either to import U-235 or to try this. And that's the beauty of BARC, because here you have leaders who tell you or encourage you to take risk. So they took the risk, just imagine. And I remember Dr. Anger called me and said, how soon you can set up this prototype manufacturing setup? I said, sir, 2 years. And within 1.5 years we could set up. We worked day and night. And then when we made the first, because it is highly pyrophoric also.
Correct.
So it has to be handled not only in a glove box, but in an inert atmosphere glove box, maintained at nitrogen and with a purity of less than 10 ppm of oxygen and moisture. So it was a unique experience and a teamwork, because our type of research cannot be done by an individual. It's a teamwork. And I had outstanding team, officers and technicians and all these things, and that made things possible. And the French, they did not even believe that we could make this. I remember the French boss of atomic energy, Vendrius, he came and saw. Goldsmith, they came and saw, and then they saw this. When they saw this in the laboratory, they said, fantastic, this is very well done. And that gave a lot of confidence to our seniors and bosses, and they decided to make this go ahead and go ahead with the manufacturing. So I manufactured this fuel, and in 83 I got married also. And then from 84 to 85 we made the complete core, one full core sort of thing. It was a small core, not a large core. And then I meanwhile got this Untold fellowship from Germany. So I told my boss that I want to go, I want to take this. He, with a little bit of reluctance, he said, okay, now that you can have a break. And he knew that I got married recently. Even we didn't spend any time in getting married. I was given leave for 3 days only. I went there, got married, and came back the next day. So that was a type of thing, but it was really worth it. So this is the thing. We saved enormous amount of foreign exchange, and had we imported this uranium-235, the entire fast reactor complex would have been under IAEA safeguard. So one is cost. We saved cost and we prevented IAEA safeguard. Today FBTR is running since October 1985. It is running in full power, 40 megawatt thermal, generating 13 megawatt electric power, and the carbide fuel has seen a burn up of 1,65,000, which is a world record. Fantastic. So this has put India on the top of the map, and so far as the advanced fast reactor fuels are concerned.
Brilliant, brilliant. Talking of India, recently Modi had been to France, and he announced that India is going to go big time into thorium-based reactors. And now, based on the thorium decay characteristics, and at your time where plutonium was there, what's your take? I mean, which would be better for long-term sustainable energy?
Yeah, you can see, ultimately, if you see Homi Bhabha's paper in 1955, we made this presentation before Mr. Nehru, and then the same presentation, he was the first president of the UN conference on peaceful use of atomic energy. And in both these places, he made this presentation highlighting the 3-stage nuclear power program in India.
Correct.
Because we have modest uranium, but vast thorium reserves.
Mosaic.
We have the largest reserves of thorium in the world.
Correct.
So he said, you start the program with natural uranium based pressurized heavy water reactor, and this kind of reactor will generate electricity and produce plutonium as a byproduct. Now plutonium is the best fuel for the fast breeder reactor. So from this plutonium, you combine plutonium with U-238 and use that in a fast breeder reactor using depleted uranium in the blanket. In the blanket, this depleted uranium will absorb neutron and get converted to plutonium. This way you can produce more plutonium than you consume. Now once you have finished all the uranium that you have at your disposal in the blanket area, now you put thorium. Thorium-232, it will absorb one neutron, become thorium-233, 2 beta minus decays, protactinium-233 and U-233. U-233 also does not occur in nature. Now plutonium is the best fuel for fast reactor, and U-233 is the best fuel for thermal reactor. U-238 is the best fertile material for fast reactor. Thorium-232 is the best fertile material for thermal reactor. So once you have stockpiled sufficient amount of U-233 from the second stage, in the third stage you go to thorium-232, U-233, self-sustaining fuel cycle. Unfortunately, thorium does not contain any fissile isotope. It has to be used in combination with a fissile isotope. Another thing is, thorium oxide is one of the most stablest oxide. So the back end of the fuel cycle is equally important, because you will have to recycle the U-233 along with thorium. Now U-233 is always associated with U-232, which has got very strong gamma emitting daughter products. So you need a lot of automation and heavy shielding for manufacturing the back end of the thorium fuel cycle. So the back end of the thorium fuel cycle, it used to be commercialized anywhere in the world, whereas in the back end of the uranium fuel cycle, it has reached industrial maturity. So okay, we will definitely use thorium, but before that we will have to establish the commercial viability of the thorium fuel cycle, particularly the back end. What our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister showed was discussion was mainly on the Jaitapur nuclear power station, which the CA is supposed to, these are the European pressurized water reactor, 1650 megawatt capacity. They are the state of the art pressurized water reactor. We call them generation 3+ reactors. Now the whole thing, the land was allotted to them in Jaitapur, in Ratnagiri, that in Maharashtra, in way back in that, I would say 2010 onwards. And the price negotiations are underway. Now I think they are trying to push it, and they said even if it is little bit expensive, go ahead, because Baba's very famous quotation, no power is more expensive than no power. Absolutely. That means electricity can be purchased at any power, because it has got a multiplying effect. And then these reactors, they have a life of nearly 80 years to 100 years. So if I compare the levelized cost of electricity, that means the total electricity produced in the 100 years and the total cost incurred, then the levelized cost of electricity is perhaps the lowest with the nuclear. Many people are not even aware that the Tarapur Atomic Power Station 1 and 2, they generate electricity at ₹1 per unit, way low, much lower than solar. So if you have a power reactor which is running for 80 years, 100 years, the levelized cost of electricity will come down automatically. Initial capital cost is high, but that will all be made up because of the long life of these reactors. And you see, nuclear is the only carbon-free option which will give you baseload electricity. And as I told you, if you utilize all the natural resources that you have, nuclear alone can meet the energy requirement of the whole world for tens and thousands of years. So that's the reality.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I get your point. But then where is it that, why we couldn't sort of leverage the nuclear? We have entire infrastructure, eminent scientists like you all were heading and all. Where is it that we missed the bus? Why, unlike France, which has 70%?
Why France? The whole nuclear business started with the Americans.
Americans, absolutely.
And you will be surprised to know that in 25 years, from 1970 to 1995, they installed 90 reactors. Just imagine, 90 reactors, and total installed capacity was 95,000 megawatt electrical. Then what the French, they started with gas cooled reactor.
Correct.
Then they realized the commercial viability is not that attractive. So they copied the entire Westinghouse design, and then they set up 58 reactors in a matter of only 20 years. Again, with the total installed power about 63,000. Chinese, they started their nuclear power program in 1991. We are the earliest, one of the earliest. Japan and India started nuclear power program in 1969. Tarapur 1 and 2.
Correct.
Chinese started in 1991.
Correct.
Today they are having 60 operating reactors. 35 are under construction. By the year 2030, they will have the maximum number of reactors in the world. And they could construct, nearly 50 reactors in a matter of, and now their plan is from 2020 to 2035, they will have 150 reactors. So if they could do it, and the main thing is standardization. Now we have standardized our pressurized heavy water reactor.
I think we are also trying to have some 18 reactors, I think, next year.
So that's why we have now standardized our pressurized heavy water reactor,
Correct.
700. And now The privatization was initially not there. Entire, I would say nuclear power and the related fuel cycle was left with the government. Now with the Shanti Bill, Shanti Act, now I can call it Shanti Act. Now the private players, they were waiting so far in the wings, like Jindal, Larsen and Toubro, Adani, Ambani's, you name anyone, they are now waiting. Bharat Forge and BHL also, and then also PSUs like NTPC.
Correct.
Now, if they start coming in a big way after this Shanti Bill, and the nuclear liability clause has also been modified significantly. So in my opinion, 100 gigawatt nuclear by 2047 is possible. It's not, we have to have 15, 16 sites are already in operation.
Correct.
Particularly coastal sites. So in each site, if you have 6 to 7,000, aapka ho gaya. You are making this 100 gigawatt. So it's a question of will. Now it has been standardized. Everything has been standardized, and we will have to put, and there is no shortage of funds now.
Correct.
We had the only one bottleneck, that was the supply of uranium. Now, fortunately, after the Indo-US, nuclear cooperation deal, we are now importing uranium from Canada, from Kazakhstan, from Russia also, and now from Uzbekistan. So we have now access to uranium market. Plus, at the time when Bhabha made this thing, our total uranium in the country was 40,000 tons. Today we have now 4,30,000 tons of uranium. In the Kadapa is a huge amount of uranium found. So, and plus this overseas uranium. So now there is no hurdle and then with privatization, with an uninterrupted supply chain of uranium, it should be possible to meet this target.
Superb. That's a very positive way of looking at how we are going ahead.
Thorium is absolutely essential, but for long term. Maybe not in the next 25, 30, 40, 50 years. Maybe in the beginning of the next century, you can go for the thorium. Ultimately, we have to go for thorium. And you have to attain the level of industrial maturity which you have today towards uranium-based fuel and uranium-based reactors. In thorium-based reactors, you don't have that maturity.
Absolutely. Doctor, you were a chairman of Nuclear Fuel Complex in Hyderabad. So what has been your salient contribution when you took it over and when you left?
The nuclear fuel complex was founded by, I would say the founder chairman was Dr. Kundal Rao, late Dr. Kundal Rao. In my opinion, one of the best metallurgists the country has ever produced. He is from BHU, and then he did his doctorate from Aachen University. Coincidentally, my postdoc is also with the Aachen University, under Professor Matz. And he is the guy who manufactured the half charge of the first pressurized heavy water reactor in India, Rajasthan 1, in Atomic Fuels Division in Bombay. And then the entire technology shifted to Hyderabad in the early 1970s, 72, 73. He and one Mr. Katiyar, H.C. Katiyar, both are from BHU, and they made extraordinary contribution. Whatever you see today, the foundation was laid by, the technological foundation was Dr. Rao. After Dr. Rao, the next chairman was Balram Mutty. He is considered to be a quality control guru.
Okay.
And he coined the fantastic acronym NFC, means never fails in commitment.
Wow.
And so whatever this reactor people they wanted, we have always delivered the things in time. My team, when I joined, because after these two stalwarts, Kundal Rao and then Balram Mutty Garu, and then another outstanding chemical engineer was one K.K. Sinha. He was not only, before that he was the chairman and managing director of Medani. So after these three stalwarts, my turn came. Now I came from plutonium background, and their safety is of paramount importance. So particularly my focus was on automation and also on enclosure. Earlier the pellet compaction and all these things, UO2 was done in the open. I said nothing doing. You have to put the enclosure, you've got to have the ventilation, this thing. And then the other challenges was the recovery. Earlier, suppose from 1 ton of UO2 powder, our finished product was hardly 50 or 60. I said nothing doing. Our productivity has to be increased significantly. So we progressively started installing, I would say, automation, and also our focus was mainly on quality control of the fuel, and then we made some minor changes in the process flow sheet. Whatever I have learned from BARC, I applied that in case of uranium. Uranium oxide, plutonium oxide, thorium oxide, they have very similar properties, and the manufacturing routes are also similar. So whatever I learned in the plutonium fuel, I tried to apply that, and it worked wonders. And then I must tell you, we have some of the best mechanical, chemical and metallurgical engineers at NFC. These are all hands-on people, and I got fantastic collaboration from each one of them, and that made things, I have shared some photographs with her. When during my tenure, we completed the 3 lakh bundle, and then in 2018 they completed 1 million bundle. Today the total bundle is about 1,35,000.
Super.
And this is fantastic achievement, and this was all, I would say, the baton was passed from Kundal Rao Garu to Balram Murthy Garu, then to KK Sinha Garu, and then to me. So I got the benefit of all the good work my predecessors they have done. Brilliant. And also the fantastic collaboration from my peers and my other colleagues.
Dr. Ganguly, you've been going around the entire world and all. Do you see a change in the perception of how nuclear scientists are viewed now vis-a-vis during your days?
During my time there was a huge glamour of, if you say you are a nuclear physicist or a nuclear engineer. Even today it is there. It has not eroded that badly. But I think IT has taken that place.
Correct.
Today everyone is going after IT.
Correct.
During my time, none of the guys, I graduated from one of the best engineering college, oldest and the best engineering college in the country, Bengal Engineering College. No one even thought of sitting for the IAS exam, service exam. We considered it below, that are meant for arts graduate or commerce graduate, not for engineers and scientists and doctors. So, when I gave this interview and then I saw BARC, my gosh, I said, this is heaven, absolutely heaven. And Cyrus Dome, when you saw the Cyrus Dome, the long mod lab and CC, I said, this is something which we have. But again, during my time, I can tell you, in our batch, we were in the training school, we were 12 in number. Out of that, 6 were from the IITs. And the remaining were from outstanding engineering college, like B College, Roorkee, Banaras Hindu University, that kind of stuff. And today, we don't even get people from NIT, forget about IITs. That and if you say the salary, but we used to get about 300 rupees stipend. In spite of that, we had all the IIT top, and they are not just ordinary people. Most of them are toppers in the university. Correct. Otherwise, you will not get through the strict interview. Today, we don't see that. That is one of the reasons I would say that we will have to popularize this, because I am telling you, nuclear energy is the only viable option to meet the climate goal. If you have to restrict the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, nuclear has to pitch in a big way. In addition to solar and wind, I agree. Solar, wind and hydro and nuclear. Nuclear advantage is you are getting base load electricity. So this is, and for long term sustainability of electricity, nuclear is absolutely must. Plus, I must be very frank with you, we have to be very strong economically. For that, we must have energy security, because energy is the engine for growth. It also paves the way for food security, fuel security, electricity security and water security. And we must be equally strong militarily. And plutonium provides you both the option. Correct. You are heard about Pokhran 1 and 2. Absolutely. And that has continued. Today we are very strong militarily. We have this operating nuclear submarines. 3 are already in operation, as you know, Arihant class of submarines. Correct. These are all homegrown and homemade. And so we are very proud of that we could take it collectively, a country with strong economic power and strong military power. And plutonium will provide you both these options.
Dr. Ganguly, in short, you are saying that nuclear energy would surpass solar and wind and all, whatever the government is proposing, in the next couple of
Yeah,
decades?
you see, solar and wind, they are fantastic. But then solar and wind has to be backed up with energy storage facility.
Correct.
And with this, solar photovoltaics, even if you see, topmost priority has to be given to solar photovoltaic. Government is doing rightly that thing. But then the photovoltaic grade silicon is not produced in the country.
Right.
We are importing everything from China.
Absolutely.
Now only they have started.
Now they have started.
Now only the awareness of making chips has come. And likewise for the wind, you need this for the wind power, you need these motors which are made of rare earth permanent magnet. So the government is now giving a lot of emphasis to rare earth, particularly in neodymium, iron, boron. And there again, the technology is very similar, because thorium, if you see, it occurs in form of monazite. What is monazite? It is uranium, thorium, rare earth, phosphate. So you recover the uranium and thorium for atomic energy, and the rare earth for this permanent magnet, rare earth also for even for the electric vehicle, the motors.
Correct.
They are all
EVs, yeah.
all these things. And then the other material that is coming in a big way, lithium ion battery, they are being now replaced by sodium ion battery. Now sodium is used as the coolant in the fast reactor. So the spin-off of that thing can be used for making the sodium ion battery. So they are very closely interlinked. And Department of Atomic Energy, particularly the materials group, everywhere in BARC, in NFC, they are working hard towards all these things development.
Superb. Doctor, from your journey from BARC, Kalpakkam to, let's say, IAEA, and then Chemco, IIT Kanpur. So down the line, what is it that people should remember US? What do you think?
I think I'm extremely grateful to God. I'm extremely grateful that because in your professional career, your first boss is very important. If the first bosses are good and subsequent bosses are good, if your colleagues are good, I was essentially a happy-go-lucky guy who was good in sports. I was very good footballer. Wow. I was good tennis player, and research was my not so priority sort of thing. Metallurgists, we are trained to work in a steel plant. Correct. So when I entered this, I got so much interested in this thing. So I thought that I should be remembered as a average scientist who worked very hard.
Modest.
Who worked very, very hard. Okay. As you said, the perspiration is 99% and 1% is inspiration. So I would say this: I have perspired and in the process prospered and got the type of recognition which even I never even dreamt of in my life. And so I thought I should be remembered as a sincere guy who is one of the first generation plutonium metallurgists, and they could do all kinds of plutonium development, plutonium alloys like plutonium gallium alloys for strategic application, plutonium beryllium neutron source, plutonium aluminium alloy, and then plutonium-rich mixed carbide, mixed oxide, and now futuristic metallic fuel my colleagues will be doing at Kalpakkam, plutonium, uranium, zirconium. So this roadmap of plutonium is fantastic. So I am grateful that I should be remembered as one of the first generation average metallurgist who gave his best to take plutonium fuel to the level in which we are today.
So we have something called a rapid fire question, and you could answer it in a one-liner. Let's say if your thesis would like to have a Bollywood title, what would you quickly remember about your thesis?
I would say plutonium for peace and prosperity.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, if a 17-year-old guy wants to see a movie of Oppenheimer and wants to take up nuclear scientist, what would be your advice?
Oppenheimer is the father of the nuclear bomb, the plutonium bomb, and which was tested. And when it was exploded, he knew Sanskrit. He said that I am seeing death, Mahakal, that kind of thing when he saw that. So I would say he's one of the outstanding nuclear scientists and the father of nuclear weapon.
Okay. And one thing where you want to change the perception of nuclear. nuclear energy, nuclear scientists? What would you be that?
Yeah, the myth is, anything that is got to do with plutonium, they relate it with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That was a bad phase. I am telling you very frankly, had the plutonium started with peaceful application, this myth would not have been there. So that myth, they should remove from your mind, fire. Fire is a good slave but a bad master. So plutonium is just like fire. You use it for peaceful purpose. Why you have to go for Hiroshima and Nagasaki? You need nuclear weapons as a deterrent. But as a Shakespeare I quote, it is excellent to have a giant strength. It is tyrannous to use it like a giant.
Brilliant. And one last question. If a common man does not know about plutonium, how are you going to describe it?
I would say plutonium is a human-made element that has changed the course of human civilization.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ganguly. I mean, the way you're so much involved in the subject is obvious. The way you told us about thorium and plutonium, it's obvious that next generation is going to have a new perception of nuclear energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your generosity and kindness. And I would like to reach the public that, nuclear energy is the future. It's an inevitable option for us.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.